Welcome everyone. In this video we are going to implement the concepts of function in C programming, right? So we are going to write the function for adding two numbers, and I'm just putting up a comment for the reference purpose that this program is for adding two numbers by making use of function. Okay, so this is a comment, a multi-line comment is what I have written over here. How do we start our C program? We include the header file #include stdio.h, right? Then we have to design the main function. In the main function I am going to write the declaration of the two variables a and b of the type integer, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the user using printf to enter the first number. Okay, so we'll scan it and we'll put it at the address of variable a. Okay, so now your first number will be in a. Okay, now we have to ask the user for entering the second number. Right, so now here we are asking the user to enter the second number. Now we'll scan it and we'll push it in the memory address of variable b, address of b. Okay, so now b holds our second variable that we have entered. Okay, second number that we have entered. Now we have to perform addition. What in case we were writing the similar program without making use of a function? How do you do that? You define a variable c and then you write c is equal to a plus b, and then you print the value of variable c. This is what you're going to do. But in case we are writing this program by making use of function, then we can just call a function my add, right? And when we are calling a function, we need to make sure that this function my add is defined, right? So the function definition has to be there. So we'll do it before void main, and I will write it like void my add. It's a simple example that we are executing, so there will be no return value and there is no argument that we are passing, right? So when I'm calling this function, I'm not passing anything into this function. It is just a simple function call that we are having in the main, right? So my add is the name of the function that we are calling over here, and we are not passing any argument and we are not getting any return value from the function which is being called, right? So there's no return value and there is no argument that we are passing in. Okay, so when this function is going to be called, what is going to happen? If you try to write int c as another variable that you define over here, and c is equal to a plus b, and later on if I want to print the result, I can write something like this: the result of addition is, and then you define like this, like %t comma c, right? So this is one way of doing it. But what will be the issue with this program? The issue will be that you are having variable c defined over here. So this is a local variable, the scope is local, and this variable is equal to a plus b. However, the variable a and variable b, they are not the part of the function my add, so they are not declared over here. Where we are declaring them? We are declaring them in the main. So their scope will be in the main, right? It will not be applicable over here in the function my add, right? So in order to make sure that we are able to use the values of a and b in this function, what we need to do is we need to make sure that we make the scope of these variables a and b that we have declared over here on line number 16 as global, right? So how do we make the scope of variables global so that they are accessible throughout the program? So we, instead of defining it in the function itself, where do we define them? Right at the top, somewhere over here. Okay, so now this makes the variable a and b global, right? Variable A and B are global variables. Okay, so now they are global and they can be accessed anywhere in the program. So in any function, in case you want to make use of the values of variable A and B, you can easily make that, right? So you can easily use the values of variable A and B, provided you declare them as global variables instead of the local variables, right? So now the scope of variable C is local and it is defined over here in the function itself. So there's no problem with this, and the problem was there with A and B, and now we have sorted it out. How we have solved it? It is by making it a global variable by declaring it over here, right? So this is a very simple program, guys. Now when you enter into the main function, you scan the first number, you put it in A, you scan the second number, you put it in B, and then you call a function called myAdd. When this function is going to be called, we are declaring another variable called C of the type integer, and then C is equal to A plus B. Now it's a valid statement. Why? Because C variable is the local variable which has a scope within this function itself, but these A and B variables, even though they are not defined in this function called myAdd, they are still accessible. Why? Because we have declared them over here by making them as a global variable, right? So global variables have the property that they are accessible anywhere in the C program. In any function you want to make use of these variables, you can easily do that, and this is what is going to happen in case we are going to write C is equal to A plus B. And now what we are doing over here on line number 12, we are printing the result of addition. The result of addition is %t, C, right? So this is a very simple program which indicates how we can make use of the functions in C programming. Now let us save this program, and for doing that I'll just write save as, file save as, and I will give it a name myadd1 dot, instead of writing .c, myadd1 is the name of the file, and I will save as .c file. Okay, and I will save it in C programs folder that I have created. Okay, so it's saved now. Yeah, now we have to compile this code to see whether there is any syntax error or not. Now it says that there is no error and no warning, so we are perfectly fine with the code. We need to now run this program. I'll go to execute and I will click on run. When I click on run, you see the message which comes over here on the screen. Enter the first number, let's say 28. Enter the second number, let us say 45. 28 plus 45 is 73, right? So 40 plus 20 is 60, 68, and 5, 73. So we'll get the result as 73. So when I click enter, you see the result of addition is 73, right? So the addition is performed in a correct manner, and in this case you can see that we have made use of the function called myAdd, and I have called it from the main function. And what this function is doing, this function is performing the addition of the two numbers, and it is printing the result on the console, right? So this is a classical example that you can use as a reference for understanding the concept of functions, how it can be called in a program, and how we can do some sort of computation in the function and print the result on the console, right? So this is where we are calling the functions without passing any argument and without taking any return value, right? So these are the two cases that we are going to see later on, how we can pass in the arguments to the function that is being called and how we can take the return value from the function. So this is what we are going to learn next. I will see you in the next video.